Well, hello friends, and welcome back to the next part in our restoration of this Aldo Velani Barolo. When last we saw the pipe, I had just gone ahead and epoxied the plug in place, and if you look really carefully, give you some additional light here, you can see the glimmer of epoxy around the outside. A bit of it oozed out, and there's a bit here as well. So this is in there really well. It's not coming out, and as I've mentioned the last time, there's not going to be a great deal of force applied to this plug at any point. So really it just needs to have enough epoxy there to keep it from falling out. The next step is going to be to saw this off, and I'm going to saw it off a little bit proud. I don't want to make it completely flush, but I'd like to get close to that. So maybe, I don't know, a millimeter or so above the surface. And then you can see the grain pattern on this, or for the most part, what we're going to have to do is just kind of mimic the contours in the sandblast. They're not very deep, but they are there. And I'm going to just try to carry those across and make it as blended in as best I can. And to do that, I'm going to use whatever I need to use. So I might be using sandpaper, I might be using files. One thing that works really well for these kinds of things are these riffler files. You may or may not have seen these. These are the kind of tool that you never need until you need it, and then there's really no replacement. They come in a variety of different shapes, and they're a very fine file here, and they just are really good for doing like fine detail work and sort of blending in curves and things like that. And you know, see, I've got a 10-piece set here that has various different types of file, different shapes. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that work off camera, and the next step after that is going to be to try to break this, whatever this finish is on here, so that we can actually get to the point where we can restain the pipe. So I'll be thinking about that as I'm doing the filing and preparation of the plug for staining. Alright, so I'll be back as soon as that work is done. Alright, so the work is done, and let's see if I can focus that for you. Hopefully you can see that I've been able to kind of follow the grain that's revealed by the sandblast and follow that through the plug. Obviously the plug is still not colored properly, but we'll deal with that when we restain the pipe. But by and large it's smooth. I mean, you can't feel at all that that's there, and it should blend in pretty well just in terms of texture. Whether or not we'll be able to stain it is another story, but you know, we can, if worse comes to worse, we can stain this dark color, and I'm sure it will conceal that. You can see a couple spots where I scuffed. I slipped with one of the files a little bit there, but that's okay because we really have to refinish the whole thing at this point. But I'm pretty happy with that. I think it's worked well, and basically we've done a nice patch on the outside. Now on the inside, I've taken the Dremel in there and done a little bit more grinding, and just have that area cleaned up a bit so it can receive the pipe mortar, and we'll do that later. I am going to try to retort this before I put the pipe mortar in, and that'll be a good test of the integrity of this plug as well. But I'm not going to do that right now. The next thing I want to do is try to break this finish and get it off. And this is, you know, I did several applications of acetone, and you can see this thing is as shiny as can be. So I don't know if there's some sort of a lacquer on this. I mean, shellac should have reacted with the acetone. I could try, actually, let me do that live right now. I'm going to try some alcohol, some ethyl alcohol, and we'll see if that makes any difference. Shellacs are almost always, if not always, an alcohol-based finish, but I believe they react to acetone. And you can see that just nothing's coming off there. That's very odd. Anyway, I'm gonna spend some time trying to get this done so that we can restain it. I may have to resort to wire brushing this a bit, and just to kind of break that finish, and then maybe get some acetone or alcohol underneath it. Yeah, that helped. So I think, oh, that might have just been dirt coming off the brush too. Anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be scuffing this up and trying to get that shiny finish off. I'm going to continue to do that, and I'll bring you back before I start the next step. Well, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you need to know the exact opposite of the word fun, getting that finish broken certainly falls into that category. You can see it's still not perfect. I took it over to the buffing wheel and actually buffed it on the Tripoli just to try to break it some more. But and that's, you know, part of the shininess. It's just burnished wood. But we've gotten a lot of the stain off. I decided just to leave the shank as is, and hopefully be able to blend things in with that, which will save me some work. You know, normally the best thing to do would have been to just go ahead and sand it, but if I sand a sandblast like this, I'm going to wind up sanding out the blast, and I don't want to do that. So I just spent a lot of time with the wire brush. I tried various solvents. Really nothing has cut through it, so I still don't know what the heck the stuff is. But whatever finish they're using, it's very durable. Okay, so now we're going to start to try to reapply stain, and sort of, we couldn't get much off here, so you know, this is going to get stained a little bit darker if the stain takes, but it's not going to change very much. Around here we're going to try to get something that's darker to help blend in the patch, and then we're going to just kind of blend that down into the shank here. Now to do that, I've got a lot of stains, but there's 3 that I'm thinking of using here, and if I need to bring in others, I can. But the first one I'm going to use is dark brown, and I'm just going to use that directly to stain this plug, and we'll start from there, and then we can kind of build around that. And then I've got both brown mahogany and dark walnut. So using the 3 of these, you know, I'm essentially going to be doing some painting here, but that's okay. It'll give me an outlet for my artistic expression. So I'm not going to bore you with this too much, but I'll show you the initial shot with dark brown just so you can see what we're dealing with here. So just a pipe cleaner with a little bend in it. That's the dark brown dye. I live in fear that I will someday spill this. So far I haven't. Okay, we'll set that. We won't set it anywhere. I'll hold it in my other hand and recap this so that my greatest fear doesn't come true. And now we will apply this to the plug. And we're going to have to layer this. We may have to do multiple applications and just let it sit. I know you've seen videos of guys lighting this on fire, and that works, but yeah, it's alcohol. It doesn't take that long to flare off. And actually I might as well just do a full coat of this dark brown and see how that treats us. So this is what my life is going to be like for the next few hours, just playing with this, letting it sit, buffing it out, seeing what it looks like, applying more, and it will be oddly enjoyable because I like doing this. It's not often you get to just kind of express yourself with a pipe. So when you're repairing them, that is. When you're making them, I'm sure that happens all the time. But yeah, and obviously I don't have complete freedom because I got to blend it in with the shank there, but that's okay. We'll get there. Alright, so we'll let that dry, see how it looks, see what we need to do to darken up that plug a bit more, and I'm just going to keep doing that. So I will bring you back hopefully when this is looking much better. Okay, so I've done about 5 layers now. In between each I've been buffing and sanding and just trying to see how it's going to look. Yeah, if you know where to look, you can see that plug. There's no question about it. But it's better, certainly better than having a hole in the pipe. And I think it's going to look much better once it's all buffed out and waxed and everything. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm calling the outside done at this point. But it still obviously needs some work in terms of buffing and waxing. So then what I want to do now is turn our attention to the stem, because we got a bit of a problem with the stem. If you remember from our initial overview video, the stem is quite loose. And that's a problem because I would like to retort this pipe before I put the pipe mortar in. So we need to first off clean the stem, and then we need to expand the tenon. So I will begin with just standard methods that you've seen me use many times. I'll use some bristled pipe cleaners and some non-bristled pipe cleaners, and we'll use some just regular ethanol, Everclear alcohol. And we'll start off with the bristled pipe cleaners and just dip them in the alcohol, push them through, start scrubbing. And we'll keep doing this until the bristled cleaner comes out clean. And as you can see, we've got a ways to go before that happens. And then we will switch over to the non-bristled cleaners and do the same thing until it comes out clean. So I'll do that, and then I'll bring you back when I'm ready to resize the tenon. Alright folks, I'm actually just switching over now to the soft bristleless pipe cleaners, and I'm going to continue to clean this. I've decided it's getting a bit late and I'm not going to do the tenon expansion tonight, so I'm actually going to call this video to a close, and in the next video we should be able to tie this up and finish up the pipe. So I will say goodbye and look forward to talking to you all again very soon. Goodbye now.